But I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna make it, you guys. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it here. I may have to move back to LA. What is up, YouTube? I am back again today with another video. Today I am talking to y'all about the move from LA to Dallas. Okay, I got my notes here, you guys. We got a lot to talk about. I'm coming up on my 6-month move. Me and my fiance packed up our cars, and we drove, I don't know how many miles that is. What is, like 1,500 miles or so? We broke it up in about 3 days. So I use this app. I'm gonna leave the link down in the description. You can plan your road trip. You can kind of plan your stops and make it an interesting drive along the way. So we decided to make a road trip out of it. So our first stop was in the Grand Canyon, which that was beautiful. The first day we left, I want to say we left around 5 or 6 in the morning. We got there, I want to say it was like a 7 or 8 hour drive to get to the Grand Canyon. It's about like $40 to get in, you guys. I'm just like, what? $40 to see Mother Nature? Okay. But anyway, it was beautiful. Highly recommend going to see that if you haven't. But thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. Please like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. I'm so glad you're here. If you're thinking about relocating from LA or relocating to Dallas, hopefully I cover a couple topics that you guys may have questions about. And if you do have more questions that I don't cover, feel free to leave those in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you guys. As I was saying, we got here and I have a cousin that lives here. So once we arrived, we went to his house. To get us from LA to Dallas, it was about $200 in gas. We split the trip up into 3 days, so we spent 2 nights at hotels. And that last day, we left at like 5 o'clock in the morning because we were just ready to be here. Before moving here, we had gotten a locator to send us a list of apartments that were available. Definitely use a locator. The service is free and they're able to get you deals and specials of apartments are running in the area that you're looking for. So you can give them a price range, tell them different cities or parts of the city that you'd be interested in moving in, and they're gonna send you a list of like 50 to 100 or more apartments that you can look through. You can call, look at the photos, see where it is and see if you like the vibe, you like the feel of the apartment, list the amenities, the rent, everything. Like, it makes the moving process so much easier. I believe we got half off our first month's rent moving here, and we decided to move to Grand Prairie, which is it's west of Dallas. It takes us about 20 minutes to get into the city. Also, what I want to tell you guys is you're able to apply to an apartment. Don't think because you don't have the income or whatever, like if you even apply to a job and you have just an offer letter, send that to the apartment that you're applying for and they can get you approved based off of an offer letter, because that's what he and I had to do because we weren't living here. We were moving from out of state. Now, we were approved for, I believe we applied for like 3, and we were approved for 2 out of the 3 apartments that we applied for. Once we got here, all we had to do was go see the apartments that we were approved for to make sure everything was A1 before moving in. Highly, 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 I don't even want to say highly recommend. This is an absolute, lay your eyes on the exact property and the exact place that you'll be living before you sign a lease. We were getting encouraged to sign a lease at this place before seeing it, and from the photos, that place would have been my first pick, but we ended up going with the second apartment that we got approved for, because when we showed up, you guys, something you cannot see through a photo is the smell of cigarettes. And when I say it hit us outside the apartment, we weren't even at the apartment and I smelled it on the hall. And I was like, wow, whoever's apartment that is that smells like that is horrific. And come to find out, when she opens the door and we walk in, it's the apartment that we were supposed to be moving in. And y'all, they were really trying to push us to sign this lease before moving out here. So if I had signed that lease and we got here, we would have been stuck in a lease where it smells like cigarette smoke. They had replaced the carpet and everything, but you could still see the person prior that lived there before smoked. They had been a chain smoker, because The stove was yellow, the fridge was yellow, like it literally had cigarette smoke embedded in the appliances. Like it was so disgusting. But from the photos, it looked beautiful. So yes, make sure you definitely go see the place that you'll be living in before signing a lease. I really like this apartment. We did have a couple issues when we first moved here. The first week we were here, both of our catalytic converters off of our car was stolen. And I was thinking like, I don't know if we moved into a safe area. I don't know if we were targeted because our license plate said Cali. I don't know, y'all. It was very strange. But we did get our cars repaired. It was very expensive repair. So I would definitely recommend making sure you have coverage for that. And yeah, we haven't had any issues since then. Thank you, Lord. Knock on wood, all the above. But before moving to Dallas, I had visited Houston with my cousin and a couple of her friends last year. And I fell in love with Houston, y'all. Like, I was like, we're gonna move to Houston. Like, it's gonna be so great. And one of her friends was telling me, like, girl, look, I know you really like Houston, but trust me, if you wanna move, you're gonna wanna move to Dallas. I had never been to Dallas, so, and then I was just in love with the vibes of Houston. But you guys, I'm so glad she recommended Dallas. A couple of the reasons I'm gonna say is, I think Dallas is more diverse. It's a bigger opportunity for small businesses to take off. Like, I think Houston has a really good base of entrepreneurialism, but I think Dallas is gonna start growing in that area. So if you're moving out here and you have a business or something, I'd say this is a really good place to plant roots, and there's a lot of room in the market for growth. The third reason I would say, I think the economy here is a bit stronger, especially when it comes to the weather and like flooding and all of that type of stuff. I don't think Dallas has to deal with that much of those type of issues, and it just seems to overall have stronger economy and room for families to grow. I think Houston is good if I want to take a weekend trip. But baby, we went back like a few months ago and I was like, this traffic is too much. This humidity is too much. Like, and the club scene is really big, which is cool, but yeah, you know, I appreciate the diversity here, and yeah, the ability to grow as a professional, I think, is really good in Dallas. Living in LA, it was a lot easier to eat healthy because in my experience, just like a lot more vegan shops, a lot more shops that are plant-based and organic. It does tell me that there's room for growth in that area, and I would love to somehow be a part of that growth in Dallas. But where we live in particular, it's almost like the only thing you can get your hands on is a chicken and biscuit. So before you move to Dallas, you need to know where the gym is gonna be at, because honey, you gonna have to work out some of this food, baby. They love butter, they love gravy, and they love fried chicken and fried everything. Definitely keep that in mind when you move down here. If you're plant-based or vegan or vegetarian, you may have to look a little bit harder to find things that are gonna suit your diet preference. And when they say everything is bigger in Texas, baby, including me if I don't get my butt to the gym. So I've been trying to go very regularly. Actually, I have been going very regularly, but it's at least just gonna offset some of this food that I've been eating because, listen, you got to, okay? Also, honorable mention, Andy's, you cannot have my soul. You can't have my spirit. I get the butter pecan, add brownie. Oh my God. Yeah, eating in Dallas has definitely been a challenge, but I do cook a lot. I actually really enjoy cooking. So whenever I'm able to eat at home, absolutely, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna make sure my meals are plant-based because that's what I love to eat and that's what keeps me energized. Drinking in Dallas is a big part of the culture. For me, I mean, I'm sure it can be a part of the culture wherever you live, but I've just noticed like every weekend we go out, we're typically in a social setting where we're at a bar, restaurant, and drinks are being had, honey. In LA, that just wasn't really my scene. I think I was more into like outdoor activities and things that weren't as costly as drinking because drinking culture and going out every weekend is definitely expensive. But when you factor in the cost of living here, it's definitely more affordable to be able to go out more. So yes, that's a thing. You know, if you don't drink, obviously that wouldn't be an issue for you. But if you do drink, you may see yourself going out a little bit more with friends, and it's just a part of the culture. Let's get into the weather, honey. what is it? It's like May. And when I say we didn't have a spring, like it went from like ice storm to hot. And by hot, baby, it's hot, honey. This humidity is another level. Like whenever I open my door, it's like I get hit in the face with like, I don't know if it's like hot breath or what's going on, but in LA, if you found shade, you would be okay. It's hot, but it's manageable. And even at nighttime, it cools out to the point where you can open your window and have a fan on. Like you don't even need the air conditioner on really. But here, honey, you need an air conditioner. Like it's crucial to living in Dallas, like having the air running in the car, at work, at home. Our air broke down at my job last week, and when I say it was atrocious. So yes, the heat is a force to be reckoned with here in Dallas, along with the humidity. It's just something to keep in mind. You gotta keep hydrated. But for my skin, it's definitely been working wonders. Like she's looking good. My hair seems to be loving the humidity, like it's not as dry. So yeah, there are benefits to humid weather. Breathing is just not one of them. Because it's so hot, it's like you really want to go to the ocean. Like it really makes you want to go to the water because it's so hot. But there are lakes here that I hear a lot about, people going to the lakes. They don't recommend that you swim in the lakes because there may be gators. And a lot of people have actually come up having drowned in Louisville and things of that nature. So you definitely want to be careful in this water. It can be murky. It's probably not very clear. So yeah, I don't too much mess with like natural water like that. Like salt water and oceans are clear and makes it a little bit more easy to swim in. But yeah, they do have lakes out here, and kayaking and things like that are probably really good options for Dallas. Also, every apartment that I've seen so far has had a pool, so that is a beautiful thing. The pool scene here is actually really beautiful, and most of the apartments have pools. And that was something that was different for me. When I lived in LA, I didn't stay anywhere that had a pool. So here it's been a lot more easy to be able to make that a part of my lifestyle. The cost of living here, it is definitely more affordable. I will say that. However, it's a lot of people moving here. There's a huge influx of people that are relocating to Texas in general, not just Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin. So the cost of living is going up. However, I will say I'm paying about the same that I was paying for a one bed in California when I first moved to California, which is crazy to me. So around the $1,100 mark is what I was paying for my first apartment in LA. Now, this apartment has way more amenities and is overall a nicer apartment. But that just goes to show you kind of like how the cost of living is increasing. However, I think lifestyle-wise, it is more ideal here in what you can afford. Like you can afford a little bit more bang for your buck in terms of like the comfort and amenities that you have at your apartment. The difference in California is you're paying for California. Like it's LA. There's so many things to do. You don't really have to be at home. At least for me, like I wasn't really a homebody. I'm very social. I was able to get out and go to the beach and go for a hike, and I wasn't too much concerned about being at my apartment like I am here. I'm able to spend a lot more time at home in the comfort of my home and just enjoy different amenities and things that are on my apartment location. The cost of living in terms of money. In LA, for me, in my experience, it seemed that it was a lot easier to make more money in LA. Here, I'm in the beauty industry. So, you know, there are gonna be limitations and things like that in terms of like jobs that you can get. There have been times in LA where I've been able to make rent like within a couple of days working a certain type of job. Or if you got lucky and you were booked for like a commercial, you can make $400 in a day. And it's like if your rent is $1,000, you can make that in a couple of days. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on what industry you're doing, because to be honest, I feel like working a regular job in LA almost doesn't make sense because the cost of living is so high. So it's like if you're able to get odd jobs that pay more for less of your time, it makes more sense than working something that's going to take more of your time that could be paying less. But it seems that just kind of like the Dallas is just a more traditional in that sense, where I haven't personally seen too many ways that people are kind of like working gigs or odd jobs in that sense. But I'm also removed from that industry now that I've relocated. So yeah, just keep that in mind when moving here. In LA, there's a lot of different ways you can work on set. You can, you know, DoorDash, Uber, Instawork. There's all type of ways, like server gigs and jobs. Like there's all type of ways in LA to make a quick buck. But here it seems to just be like a little bit more traditional. Buying a home here seems to be a lot more affordable also than purchasing a home in LA or in California in general. I believe the median cost of a home in California is about $800,000. I don't know the median price for Texas. I will add that in, but I'm sure it's gonna be almost half that. Definitely it's easier to attain a home here. And I don't have kids yet, but from what I hear, most of my clients that come in tell me that the education here is really awesome, and it's a good place to raise a family and to have kids. I have noticed that my anxiety has decreased tremendously since moving to Dallas. I don't know if it's that my pace has slowed down. I don't feel like I have to, you know, stress about so many things. Overall, just like the culture here it's slower pace. It's still a good pace because Dallas is a big city, but I do feel more at ease, and I guess I can contribute that to a myriad of things. But I think just being more connected with like nature and seeing more trees and less hustle and bustle has definitely contributed to my mindset being a little bit more relaxed. I will say, you guys, I miss the ocean. Like, the ocean was one of those places that I was able to just lay my burdens down, say prayers, set intentions, and release it into the ocean. Like, I would literally release my intentions into the water and visually picture the waves like going out to make those things happen. So I miss the water so much. Like, I have such a huge connection to ocean water. Here, that's one of those things that I don't have. Last week, I did have a little bit of a breakdown. Y'all, I told my fiance, I said, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna make it, you guys. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it here. I may have to move back to LA. Like, I really miss the water. I really miss the ocean. I miss the mountains. I miss the views. I miss the sunsets. But, you know, I feel like God pushes you and puts you in certain situations out of your comfort zone so that you grow. You don't grow when you're comfortable. So I'm definitely uncomfortable, okay? I will say that I'm uncomfortable, and at a certain sense, I'm also at peace with the decision to move here because I know we moved here for a reason. So with that being said, you know, you just kick it. You take the ebbs and flows and see how it goes. But I will say there is a lot that I miss about California. Prior to the pandemic, my fiance and I were living in Carpinteria, which is about 15 miles south of Santa Barbara, and 5-minute walk to the beach. That was the best time of my life. Like, just being able to go to the water every day, work out there, journal there, meditate there, and cry and release. Those were the best moments of my life. I will say that. I think it was a lot of confusion and uncertainty around the fact that the pandemic was just beginning. But looking back and really just being in awe of like God providing that space and time for us to be sort of in an isolation and almost just planted right in the center of nature was such an awesome, wonderful feeling. So I will say, you know, I'm grateful to have those memories in my heart, and moving forward and into a new chapter, it makes me excited about the future because it seems like things only get better, right? Looking back at my life, I feel like things have progressively gotten better. So I'm excited. The people here are definitely less pretentious. I will say people are very friendly here. It's a Southern thing, I think. I think a lot of people are more hospitable. They're more social. Like, you could strike up a conversation with a stranger at the grocery store and literally have a laugh. Like, I love that. I think that's kind of difficult to come across in LA because people can be one-track minded and just focus in their own bubble. But here, people are a lot more friendly, a lot more open to having conversations. So love that for Texas. It has been a little bit harder to find an artist community and just people who are more like risk takers. I think because Texas in general has such a traditional work, you know, atmosphere. Like, that's just the way that life is here. But I will say, I think there's room for growth in that area. I think there are going to be a lot more entrepreneurs, a lot more artists, a lot more people who think outside the box that move here and that aren't so traditional. California had a lot of that, and it forces your mind to think outside of the box and not think with the status quo, and I really appreciated that about California. But I think it's a community growing here for that, and I would love to connect with individuals who are here, who are on that same wave. Woo! Baby, this driving, honey, you ain't seen nothing like it, okay? And people always say, oh, didn't you just move here from LA? Don't they drive crazy? No, honey, we're stuck in a parking lot. The traffic is terrible. Here, you can move, okay? The infrastructure in which Dallas is laid out is great, okay? The expressways and highways and tollways are laid out wonderfully. However, it's almost like seeing the speed limit is like, that's the minimum that people drive, okay? Like, if the speed limit is 65 and you're doing 65, you're gonna get run over. Like, get to the right, and I promise you, every time I merge onto a highway, I'm like rushing myself to the right side. Like, I don't wanna leave, okay? I'm trying to do the minimum. I got a small car, I got a Prius. I'm not trying to get bulldozed by these pickup trucks because everybody out here in their mama drives a big car. So, that's been an adjustment. I want to drive safe. I love my life. You'll see people come from like the fast lane and exit the highway within like a 500-foot distance, which I'm just, in my head, I'm like, whoa, like, you couldn't put a signal on a mile back or half a mile back. You couldn't have gotten over a couple lanes so that like we knew you were coming. No, they don't really care. They'll get on the median. It could be like literally inches that they're cutting off somebody to try to exit, or you'll even see cars that are like bobbing and weaving with like inches to spare, and it's just, it baffles me. But you have to be a defensive driver out here. You really have to be aware because Texas roads are dangerous. That's just a part of it, I think, because the infrastructure is laid out well, and because Dallas is so far apart, people are going where they're going, and they're going very fast. So it's important to be aware. I'm looking for a car now that has really good safety ratings. So if y'all have any recommendations, drop them in the comment box, because yeah, I need a Subaru or a Volvo. I need something that's gonna protect me. Every day I say I want to move back, you guys, like every day. But again, I am just embracing this. I'm 6 months in. I think when I first moved here, it hadn't hit me. You know, it was a new place. It's exciting. There was so much to explore. Now that we're getting settled in, I think it's starting to actualize. Like, I can't just drive to the beach. I can't go outside and see the mountains. I can't work on set anymore. So it's a lot about California a lot about Texas that's very different. But as I previously stated, you know, I think God pushes us out of our comfort zone to grow, to experience, and yes, I'm here for a reason. So I'm ready for that to unfold, and I'm ready to see what God has in store for this next chapter in my life. If you have moved here from California, please, please, please put some questions, or if you think about moving to Dallas, put some questions in the comment box again. I would love, love, love to chop it up with you guys about that, and I'm so thankful if you guys stayed this long. Thank you so much. Love you guys, love the support. Keep shining, keep being the best version of yourself, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.